points for Ericsson yesterday, and Frank's got a slightly different take on it. We did see that in play against Andrew Estrada, I believe it was yesterday, and it seemed to run pretty smooth. It doesn't play that bursting balloon mechanic that we saw from Jesper, but still able to kind of control when he has his lock-up, field blower, trade, and then put a float stone back down.
Yeah, I was actually speaking to Azul about this specific matchup. You know, Azul has played a lot of Buzzwole Lycanroc, but he said that this Zoroark Garbodor deck is actually one that he had tested the night before the event, and this is a matchup that he and his testing group tested a lot. They felt like it was a very close matchup, but I think the thing Azul is thankful for is the fact that Frank does not play Bursting Balloons. Bursting Balloon is really annoying for this Buzzwole Lycanroc list. Since it plays 0 copies of Field Blower, they're basically going to have to hit into it and take that 60 damage every time. Frank, as we know from yesterday when he was on stream, does not play Bursting Balloons, so I'm sure that is something Azul is very thankful for at this point.
That's definitely the preferred list to play into. I mean, your option is take the damage from Bursting Balloon, which isn't a particularly appealing one, or just pass and don't attack for the turn, which seems a little bit wasteful, especially when you're going to need prizes. And you probably want them earlier on before you get locked up by Garbotoxin.
Yep. But even still, even though this is the version of the deck Azul would rather go up against, this is certainly a very close match. Buzzwole GX, being Azul's main attacker, is of course weak to Psychic. It is very easy for Trashalanche Garbodor to take knockouts on Buzzwole GX as a one-prize, 120 HP attacker, and can be annoying to try to respond to. Azul did start with that Rockruff, though, which is going to be very useful. Lycanroc is a good attacking option against this deck for sure.
Yeah, it certainly is. Picking off those Zoroarks with ease without even having to use the Dangerous Rogue. Claw Slash, more than enough to get you there. So I think he's going to have to prioritize getting those Lycanrocs into play. The Buzzwole would be great, but the biggest thing with Buzzwole right now is using those Max Elixirs to power it up. And every Max Elixir you chuck in, you're getting an energy, but you're giving 20, and with the weakness, 40 extra damage onto your Buzzwole. Those add up real fast, and you don't need many of those along with your usual Ultra Balls in there to really be able to take one-hit knockouts with a Trashalanche Garbodor on something like the Buzzwole.
Yeah, and actually, Frank had a pretty solid turn. Did not play a Bridget, but did still find 3 basic Pokemon to put on the bench. Had 2 Zoruas in his opening hand, and after his Cynthia was able to Ultra Ball for a second Trubbish, which he definitely wanted to get down in case this active one went down to a very early aggressive Buzzwole GX. And Azul does get things started here by attaching a Floatstone to his active Rockruff, uses that Brooklet Hill, gets a Buzzwole in play, and does find a Fighting Energy for the turn.
Yeah, the turn 1 Jet Punch is going to be very nice for Azul, but he's not able to land it on something like the Zorua. We have seen him obviously use his supporter in Cynthia, so none of those early gone Guzma plays to try and thin that out, but spreading the damage down is important. We know that those 30 damages on Zoruas when they become Zoroarks remain a problem, and that's still something that he's going to have to be a little bit careful of. He's forced to evolve them, but then he's still in a unique position for getting knocked out by something like the Jet Punch.
We see Azul here playing that Ultra Ball, finding Tapu Lele GX, getting a Cynthia, putting it in his hand. He's already played a supporter this turn. That tells me his hand was a little weak, and he knows there is definitely a chance that Frank is going to get that Garbotoxin lock in play this coming turn. Wants to make sure he has a supporter option. I know from talking to Azul, another potential attacking option in this deck, a really popular card in this deck, Regirock EX, something he has talked about being a good attacker against Zoroark Garbodor. It's not weak to Psychic. With a strong energy, it can do 120 damage with Bedrock Press, and the effect of Bedrock Press makes it take 20 less damage on the next turn. So a surprisingly useful support Pokemon that can become a good attacker in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it really helps itself out by reducing that damage. And like you say, not being weak to either of Frank's attacking options, certainly helping out. We don't usually see players go aggressive with that Regirock, but could be an out for Azul here. It's just going to be another one of those things that try and get it into play, try and get it powered up, and still be cautious with the way he's going about it.
Frank is going to get things going here with a Professor Sycamore, going to draw himself a new hand of 7 cards, maybe looking for a Psychic Energy or a Floatstone to attack with Zoroark this turn. Wants to get a Garbotoxin Garbodor in play for sure. First trade coming out, getting rid of that Bridget. Going to be useless after he has already gotten multiple basic Pokemon down. He can find the other basics when he needs to. And we'll see what options he has in this hand. We've seen some of these Garbodor decks go for the Acid Spray with Trubbish. It's not super optimal, but you do a decent chunk of damage to these second week Buzzwoles. Looks like Double Puzzle will find an Ultra Ball and a Trashalanche Garbodor.
Yep, that's probably what he wanted there, was to be able to guarantee one, knowing that Double Puzzle is a very prominent option for this deck. The amount of times you see these Zoroark players find the Double Puzzle because of the amount of basically cards in the hand they have, statistically you're going to end up running into it. Means you can be a little more liberal with what you put in this discard. Frank threw away one of those Trash Launch Garbodors and is able to pull it back. So he also grabbed an Ultra Ball, which is what he's playing right now, discarding the Cynthia, and I believe that's the Kartana GX. Very, very shiny there, but no Slice Off in this game.
Nope, not going to happen. Frank is probably going to be getting a Garbotoxin Garbodor or a second Zoroark, I guess, to kind of try to continue to trade to hit the energy if he doesn't have what he needs yet. I do believe Azul only has one item in his discard pile. The only item he played last turn was the Ultra Ball. He may have discarded another item with that Ultra Ball. I don't remember that off the top of my head. But if he did, at the most, this Trash Lanch, if Frank hits a Psychic Energy here off this trade, is only going to do 80 damage, which is still a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's given up the choice band there, which is interesting. If he is trying to get attacking with this Garbodor, potentially the one in the active with Trash Lanch, then he's basically losing out on up to 60 damage by getting rid of that choice band. So either he's really dying, really hurting for those cards that he needs, or he's just got an extra one available to him. He does evolve the one on the bench because the Garbotoxin goes into the active. You've got to wonder, does he have the Float Stone and the Psychic Energy? It doesn't look like it.
Looks like it's just a pass. No energy even for Frank Diaz on his turn. Azul is going to get things going by starting off with a Bricklet Hill. And I wonder if we'll see that Regirock EX come into play. Ooh, I didn't actually notice it in the deck. Could Azul have prized it? That could be really unfortunate.
Yeah, it looks like he's got Lycanrocs and Buzzwolves in there, but I'm not seeing the Regirock. Does bring a Buzzwole to the front. He's having another look through the deck, make sure he's not missed it, make sure it's not with another one.
It could be in his hand. We haven't seen a full view of his hand yet, but there is a chance that that is in his prize cards. And since he did not bench it, that definitely tells me I think that Regirock is going to be prized.
Something I found very interesting there, I had a little peep as he went to shuffle in for the Cynthia. It looked like he shuffled in a Max Elixir, so really respecting that Trash Launch. Probably just going to be going for those manual attachments every single turn. Maybe he's got this Buzzwole on the bench, power that one up the old-fashioned way, the classic one energy per turn. I know we were chatting off camera yesterday, kind of talking to some of our VGC comrades about it, and how, well, one energy a turn is great, but most decks that do well break that rule. So maybe Azul's just going to abide by it and not get caught with the extra damage by Max Elixiring.
Well, one energy a turn would be great, but Azul was unable to find an energy card off of that Cynthia for 6. It's definitely going to make things a little more difficult, and it's just going to be another Jet Punch here, spreading a little more damage, but Frank does need to find a Floatstone if he wants to move this Garbodor from the active spot with that hefty 3 retreat cost. Let's see what Frank can do on his turn. Just going to get things off with an N. And we'll see both of these players having a fresh new hand of 6 cards.
Yeah, I think Frank kind of forced into the end there. Maybe nothing in his hand he wanted to trade. Didn't want to try it that way. But Azul's probably benefiting from that too. I mean, the fact he had no energy after that Cynthia, I'm sure a fresh 6 would be very much appreciated by Azul in this matchup.
Yep. We'll see what these players get off of their new hands. Frank is going to want to find a way to do some damage this turn, get to attacking. See what his 6 cards offer him. Missed an energy last turn. He needs a Floatstone if he wants to move this Garbodor in the active spot. One thing that is also interesting about Frank's deck, since it does not play Bursting Balloon, plays the Floatstones instead, he actually will not be able to use trade unless he Field Blowers his own Floatstone once that Garbotoxin does come into play.
Right now he's still got it active. Trades away a double colorless, so it looks like he's going to be focusing his attacking prowess with the Garbodor. He's got one more trade. He's politely marking it with that die on the top next to the discard. The Floatstone discarded.
Tells me he probably has another one in his
definitely,
hands.
definitely got one. You don't discard it if it's the only one. But it looks like he could still be efficient for that energy. I haven't seen a full view of the hand, but it doesn't look too hot when it comes to the old energy counts. He's got a rainbow, so you'd hope he's got one available.
Yeah, he's discarded 2 energies now this turn at this point, trading away a DCE and Ultra Balling a Rainbow. So I'm sure Frank has left himself with some sort of option in his hand. This Ultra Ball here may just get him another one of his basic Pokemon, either a Trubbish or a Zorua, so that if either of these Garbodors goes down... Ooh, actually we see the Mew EX, a very interesting card, and kind of, counterintuitive almost at times, right? Garbotoxin Garbodor does shut off Mew's versatile ability, meaning that it won't be able to copyright us beating to knock out this Buzzwole, which we've seen Mew EX be so powerful for in general. But if Frank can pull off a play where he goes Mew, DCE, Floatstone the Garbodor Retreat, and then Field Blowers his own Floatstone, looks like that is indeed what we are going to see here.
He had a lot of items
he does
in the
need
hand.
one more Pokemon, or no, that will be 200 damage actually. He does get the Field Blower. He's going to pull this play off doing 200 damage with Ritus beating here and Field Blowing as well that Floatstone, adding one more item to Azul's discard pile.
Yeah, that's really, really big. He's going to copy Ritus beating and take the knockout. So playing his hand right down there to the last card, I believe, maybe last 2 cards. But it was worth it. He got rid of the 1 energy on Azul's side of the field, and he got 2 prizes off it.
Absolutely. That was an insane turn for Frank. But it is worth noting he discarded a lot of resources to do that. You know, these tool cards are very important. He discarded a Floatstone. I think there are 2 Choice Bands in his discard pile at this point. And then he discarded another Floatstone by actually using that Field Blower. It looks like Azul here is getting that Pseudo-Wudo Watch and Learn into play. Maybe we'll see Azul try to fill up his own bench and get off his own Watch and Learn or Ritus beating to knock out this Mew.
I mean, I think the big thing here for Azul is getting some energy into play. He's definitely got one in the hand. He does have the Floatstone available as well, so doesn't play the energy out before the end.
So I think what Azul's going to want to do here is he's trying to hit a strong energy, and he's putting basic energies back into his deck to increase his chances of hitting his max elixirs. I think he had 2 or 3 basic fightings in his hand, so by putting those back in, there's now a higher chance that if he draws a max elixir off of this in, he's going to be able to hit those energies. So what he's going to be looking for here is 1 basic Pokemon, a max elixir, and a strong energy. And that'll be what he needs if he hits the elixir to get the KO on this Mew this turn.
Yeah, I mean, if he can get there.
It is certainly a lot of cards. It's 3 cards out of a 6-card combo. Let's see his hand. Does he get what he needs? This is a tough spot for Azul Garcia Griego. We'll see if he has what he needs to pull this combo off.
There's definitely a basic energy in there.
He'll at least get that 1 attachment, which worst case scenario, you want to make that happen. Looks like the Mew as well coming into play could see a Choice Band plus a basic fighting, taking the Jet Punch KO on this Mew EX. I don't see that Choice Band in his hand though.
Nope, not available just yet. They're going to have the Tapu Lele retreat using that Floatstone. So Mew is going to be left up there. You've got to assume he has the way out to at least deal the damage he requires.
Yeah, he may not be able to take the 1-hit KO this turn with Choice Band, but he can still, do a solid 60 damage to this Mew EX and spread 30 damage somewhere on the bench. But Azul is certainly on the back foot in this game. Turn number 3 for a Buzzwole deck, and we haven't seen him take a prize.
Yeah, and this Trash Lunch Garbodor really needs to start attacking soon because it's going to get knocked out if it's consistently being hit by Jet Punches. It can only take another Jet Punch.
Yeah,
That's
it is. Yeah.
I mean, it can't even take it. It gets knocked out by it. So, if you're in Frank's shoes, probably want to try and get that in there and start attacking with it. But you want it against the Buzzwole. You want to maximize its use.
Yeah, if Frank can find a way to take a 2-prize knockout this turn, maybe getting a Guzma plus a Floatstone on a Zoroark or something to get a Ritus beating knockout on Azul's benched Buzzwole, he'll go down to just 2 prize cards remaining, and I think that'll put Frank in the driver's seat to finish out this game.
Yeah, I mean, he just needs to catch something big. Getting rid of the Mew isn't really such a problem, I think, for Frank right now. He can do that at pretty much any point in the game.
Parallel City.
This is a tough choice for Azul.
Normally you would just get rid of the Lele very quickly, but that gets rid of Azul's mobility. It's his Floatstone in play. This Mew is likely to go down, maybe thinking of having to get rid of that Pseudo-Wudo. It looks like that's what he gets rid of.
Yep, that's gone. That bench reduced to just the 3 with that side of Parallel City. So really kind of smart play there. Frank, all the bench space, definitely enough to fit down one more Tapu Lele. Yep. As he heads on into his deck. That's a very thin deck he's got there.
Yep.
Really not many resources left in it.
Frank has done a good job. He's had a lot of trades coming through this past couple of turns, so he's done a good job thinning his deck out, and we see that Guzma come to the front of his deck. Does Frank have a way to retreat a basic Pokemon, or one of the Pokemon on his bench, either an energy card or a Floatstone will do it, and he can maybe get the 2-prize knockout on this Buzzwole GX. Let's see, does he have the cards? I think
you've got to think if he
looks like it. He's going to bring up that Buzzwole GX, and this is really going to be good for Frank. He does need to move a Pokemon to, yep, here we go, moving a Zoroark GX to the active spot. Let's see what he has. Looks like it is a Floatstone. Will be able to move that Mew EX to the bench, and he's taken 4 prizes with this Mew EX.
Yeah, that's such good value, and I know a lot of players are talking recently, what are you going to use as your Psychic type tech card? You're going to use a Baby Mew from Fate's Collide, you're going to use a Mew EX from one of the older promos. You're even going to go in with the Mewtwo from Evolutions, and Frank showing where you choose that Mew EX has been very careful. I mean, he's had Garbotoxin sat on the bench. He's never really had it active at any point. And it looks like Frank really doesn't care about it right now. He's just been able to play around it. The floats don't even commit to the Zoroark, and this Mew still in a really good position.
At this point, I think Azul's out to try to have a shot in this game is going to be to set up a Lycanroc GX this turn. He did whiff that Elixir, though, so he's going to have to make an audible here, try to do something a little different, and N is going to come out, shuffle both players' hands in, and he will put Frank at just 2 cards. Azul's still getting that full 6, and we'll see what he can do with this Mew, maybe trying to set up to copy like a Knuckle Impact or something like that, or if he just benches a regular Buzzwole, he can just use the Jet Punch, of course. Even Energy Drive at this point, he can copy to take the knockout worst case scenario if he does not find the Buzzwole GX. And he may not want to put the Buzzwole GX in play because that's a potential Guzma win condition for Frank if he was to find Double Puzzle to get back the Guzma DCE Mew.
I mean, yeah, he's got so many options to get that out. He may have a DCE in hand, may just as long as he has a way to get the Mew back. The big thing here, it would be really nice for this Mew to copy Jet Punch and get rid of the Trash Launch Garbodor. But at the same time, you know, when we looked through Azul going through his deck earlier, when we were talking about the Regirock being in there, honestly, when you looked at the kind of the EXs and GXs he had available to him, it looked pretty much like he was running Finn. Whatever he grabs with his Ultra Ball is going to be so essential.
Looks like he's eyeing up a Lycanroc GX, maybe going to want to bring up a Jet Punch target. Frank has gone through 3 Float Stones. 2 have been in the discard pile. There is 1 in play, so he only has 1 left. Maybe Azul is trying to try and buy some turns, going to try to bring up a Garbotoxin Garbodor. You know, he can maybe try to Jet Punch around a Lele on the bench and take a knockout on the benched the benched Trash Lanch. So we'll see what Azul wants to bring up here with this Bloodthirsty Diaz. Actually choosing not to use the ability, gonna just take the Jet Punch KO, Energy Drive KO, take his first 2 prizes, but if Frank can find a Guzma, you know, maybe he can find a way to, you know, hit this Lele and do some damage to try to take his last 2 prizes over the course of the next couple turns.
Yeah, he's got 3 cards in hand, 2 trades available, and not too many resources left in the deck. I think what we're going to see here from Frank is him just kind of figuring out the maximum way out to get through all of his deck. His 4 cards in hand, 1 more trade available, the Enhanced Hammer as the discard. So, not too bad. Not too bad at all.
No, there's no strong energies in play. Enhanced Hammer, definitely good to keep that energy off of Lycanroc GX to try to avoid getting Dangerous Rogued. Frank does get that Hammer, though, so that gets rid, or that, there is no strong energy in play, so the Hammer is not able to, you know, be as effective as maybe Frank would have liked it. So I'm just going to trade it away.
Yep, we got the double colorless energy in play here. There is also the option to put it on the Tapu Lele and just get all of this energy off the field. It's only 1 prize for the Mew, but then there's energy in the discard, which in these Buzzwole Lycanroc decks, there's no real way to get it out. I mean, apart from the Super Rods, talked about Alex Szymanski and his Super Rod plays, but I know a little dry on the energy front for Azul.
Azul does not play that Super Rod, so once those energies hit the discard, he will be unable to do it. Looks like we're just going to see an attach and a pass. Azul trying to set up a Lycanroc GX on the bench to get off a Dangerous Rogue on the next turn. I think if Frank has a way to just Guzma and hit that Lycanroc, he'll be able to try to set up a way to get the win on the following turn. But Frank is still in a good position here. We'll see what he's able to draw off of these 2 trades. I think if I was Frank, I would try to get the Guzma to try to just hit that Lycanroc GX, worst case scenario. Actually going to pick up the Garbodor to get rid of that 90 damage on it to try to reset a little bit of the work Azul has been doing.
Oh yeah, he benched the Trubbish this turn, so that's a no.
I do believe that Trubbish was benched this turn, so it cannot be evolved into Garbodor.
Yeah,
I believe. Looks like it
was benched after the first set of trades, so he tried to evolve it. It's not really such a big problem.
It looks like that Trubbish was benched this turn, I do believe, so I don't think Frank should be able to evolve this turn. We're just going to try to get that fixed.
Yeah,
not a big issue, you know, simple mistake, and you know, it's not that big of an issue, and
yeah, that one was benched after the first pair of trades.
Yep, honest mistake, you know, these things happen, no harm, no foul. That's why we have the setup here that we're able to catch some of these, you know, small little things, and Azul was quick to catch that as well. So we'll get the game continued on here. Frank gonna maybe attach another double color synergy to this Tapu Lele.
We're getting some Tapu Lele on Tapu Lele
Looks
action.
like it, yeah. Gonna be hitting big with Energy Drive potentially. Gonna check the discard pile first, though, see what resources he has left available to him.
Tapu Lele versus Tapu Lele reminds me of a really weak equivalent of the old Mewtwo EX from Next Destinies.
Yep.
It's just they don't hit each other for weakness, so it's kind of like a wet noodle fight in that regard.
I'm very glad that Pokemon had the foresight to make it so that Tapu Lele did not hit for weakness, because that would have made the card so much better than it already is, and that card does not need any more buffs. It is certainly a very powerful card.
I mean, Tapu Lele itself has no weakness, but being able to no weakness or resistance in the calculation for Energy Drive, probably about fair.
Absolutely.
Of course, Gardevoir got a different treatment, but oh well, we don't talk about that card anymore until we put it on stream later.
Azul does find a Floatstone, does get the energy he needs. He can use Dangerous Rogue, take 2 prizes, and all of a sudden Azul Garcia Griego only has 2 prize cards remaining, and he has a Lycanroc with 2 energies. I don't know how Frank can respond to this right away, and Zoroark GX is weak to fighting.
Yeah, I mean, Azul's found his way back into this game very, very quickly by finding Floatstone and the strong energy in that turn. But you've got to wonder, how many items are in your discard by now, Azul? All he needs to do is find a way. We know he's got the Garbodor in hand. That's not a problem.
If it was able to take the knockout, I'm sure Frank would have played it by now. He can try to get off a Guzma play to take out this Lele with 40 damage on it. Can try to do that, maybe with Trash Avalanche, depending on the item count. Could also try to get a Riotous beating KO. We do see the Trash Avalanche Garbodor coming into play. Can evolve it now, Frank, don't worry. And does have that rainbow energy on it, of course, but can Frank find a Guzma? He has used so many resources at this point in the game.
I mean, he has 3
cards left in his deck over there.
One more trade as well. He's going to put down the Tapu Lele.
Let's see if he has it. It could that last Guzma be his last prize card?
That's galling. If
that
it is,
would be very devastating if you are Frank Diaz. I'm not sure
here's
how
the
many.
count. He's got to be checking for it right now.
He's got to see, is it that last prize card?
I mean, he takes something.
Did he take a card? Oh, yeah, he takes an N.
And then he trades the N to pick up
last
everything
2
left
cards,
in
yep.
his deck. He has to win on this turn.
Gonna put the DCE. Does have the Guzma.
So he's got the Guzma.
120 damage. Ooh, it is not quite enough
he have
to
the
get
choice
the knockout.
band? He
Does
did
he have the
discard
choice
2
band? Double
earlier.
puzzle of time is going to find the choice band, and that is going to be Frank Diaz taking this game. Going to go into a game 2 here, and wow, that was actually a close one. Frank was in the driver's seat most of the game, but Azul found a way, found an out.
The last prize, I think it was.
No, it was. I believe it was a rainbow energy. Frank was just setting that out there to let us know, hey, I did get a choice band with those double puzzle. Had what he needed.
Based on the fact we saw him play 2 puzzles earlier, he either had the extra card he needed, or he had the Guzma in hand, but you know, likelihood was he was going to be able to double puzzle for what he needed.
Right.
Taking his deck all the way down to 0 cards, had to win on that turn, but fantastically done.
All right, we're going to get shuffled up and try to figure things out for this second game. Azul definitely had a rough start there in that game. We'll see what he does with his strategy to try to combat Frank and make a comeback here in this set. 26 minutes on the clock. Time for 2 more games. Should be pretty quick. These Buzzwell decks are very fast, so Azul can find a way to get the win quickly. We should have time for 3 full games.
Yeah, I mean, if Azul can start well this time, he will be going first, so as long as it comes back to him and he's ready to start jet punching, see if he can grab some Zoruas. We actually saw no damage on the Zoruas or the Zoroarks in that last game, so getting those early prizes, turning off the trades for Frank, pretty much the old-fashioned way by completely not having them on the field, would be fantastic for Azul.
Yeah, if he can take out those Zoruas early, that will certainly be good. Looks like a Buzzwole GX start with a Guzma and a Strong Energy is a way that Azul can try to take that turn 2 early aggression route. And we'll see what else he can do on his turn. He may be okay. Ooh, a Mew EX start from Frank Diaz. If Azul can take that out before it is able to really do any damage, that would be huge.
Yeah, that's a big thing. That's the Mew EX that took 4 prizes in the last game, so getting rid of that would be really, really helpful for Azul here. Azul's going to start off with the classic Ultra Ball play. Let's see what he goes for. I think we can probably guess.
Yeah, I think he may be eyeing up the Remoraid or a Tapu Lele potentially. We'll see. I actually may not see the Lele. I don't think that he had another supporter option in his hand. I don't think his Tapu Lele is in the deck.
No, I mean, going through it, just quickly following his fanning there, not seeing a Tapu Lele GX, so it looks like Remoraid's the selection off the Ultra Ball.
Yeah, and this could be bad for Azul if I was correct, and he doesn't have another supporter option in his hand. He could be in a situation where he's needing to try to top deck a way to get the Octillery so he can draw at least a few cards or another supporter itself. He does actually have the Octillery in hand, so worst case scenario, he can start attacking with that.
Yep, I mean, he's got a Max Elixir in hand as well, but not the biggest turn from Azul there. Getting a strong energy down, no Jet Punch, obviously it's the first turn.
Ooh, and Hands Hammer right away from Frank Diaz, getting rid of that strong energy, saying, Azul, you cannot attach that. That is getting discarded right away. Something interesting, actually, Frank could do, he does play Rainbow Energy in his list, and Mew's versatile ability does allow you to copy the attacks of all Pokemon in play, both sides of the field. We could see Frank use a Jet Punch himself, doing a solid amount of damage to this Buzzwole on the very first turn of the game. We'll see if that is a play he's able to go for. Looks like a single puzzle of time. Does he have any other basic Pokemon in his hand?
Single puzzle's not really what you want to see.
Absolutely not. We saw that be detrimental to Tord Reklev in the last round yesterday. Single puzzle did not ever find him what he needed, and we'll see if it works out a little better for Frank. Does he not find a Zorua? Does he not find a Trubbish? No, just a pass with a Mew EX active. Azul Garcia Griego could win the game on this turn. Would have to draw pretty well, but we'll see if that is something he does try to go for. Looks like he actually may just get a Rockruff and go for a more conservative setup route.
Yeah, I mean, setting up probably the safer bet. You don't want to go all in to try and land your Knuckle Impact, your absorptions. Would have to land a basic energy, 2 Max Elixirs.
Yep, he would have to hit a lot.
Float Stones. That's a bit of an ask.
Yep, but it's definitely something that could happen. He'll be able to Max Elixir here, thin one card out. Abyssal Hand will draw him at least 4 cards, and he can still play a supporter card this turn. So if Azul had gotten a Buzzwole and found one of those Float Stones in his deck, maybe it could have popped off this turn, but Azul opting to play it safe, gonna just do the Elixir. And Azul does still have the option, of course, to find that Baby Mew Floatstone plus Choice Band and actually just take a Jet Punch knockout on Mew EX.
Yeah, I mean,
that's another way for him to win the game this turn.
That'd be a solid way from. You did see him actually eyeing it up on his turn 1 Ultra Ball, but I think because he had the Artillery in hand, an easy decision to make in that regard.
Looks like there is another Ultra Ball. We do see a Floatstone. He has the energy, but it's a strong energy. He cannot attach that to Mew, unfortunately. Azul has the cards he needs, almost. Yeah. Not quite there, unfortunately. Gonna discard a Lycanroc, hitting the discard pile along with a strong energy. We see 2 strong energies already in Azul's discard pile, and something interesting about his list, he only plays 3 copies of that card.
Not the full 4.
Not the full 4.
Strong Energy is such an interesting one. Like you say, it would be so nice if you could just attach it to anything, but Mew's not going to allow it. You also can't Max Elixir for it, so something you don't want to see. You can only Max Elixir for the basic energy, no Strongs.
No Strongs in play from those Elixirs. Azul playing that extra fighting energy, 11 basic fighting and 3 strong energies. Wants to hit those Elixirs as often as possible.
Yeah, you definitely do. I mean, he's got rid of those kind of cards he doesn't need right now. Looks like he's going all in on this potential Mew play.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to do anything else with this turn. All he has left in his hand is that Floatstone and the Choice Band. So he'll have to try to get like maybe a Jet Punch next turn, try to set that up, but it will give Frank another turn. And if you're Frank Diaz, you're definitely breathing a big sigh of relief here.
Yeah, I mean, the Abyssal Hand didn't give him all those pieces he needs. But at least Frank knew what's coming off the top. He did single puzzles, so no mystery on the top deck there. Must have pulled something. Didn't look too pleased with it, though.
Looks like it is an Ultra Ball. He can use that to maybe find a Tapu Lele, but may have to get rid of some important resources in his hand. Looks like he's eyeing up a Guzma potentially as a discard option. Looks like that will go down along with a Field Blower. Field Blower being very good in these Garbodor decks, being able to manage your opponent's tools, but also by discarding 2 item cards, you basically make your Garbodors do 40 damage for the rest of the game.
Yep, 40 and 80 to these Buzzwolves as well,
Absolutely.
Which is a lot. Once you throw a Choice Band in there, you're already swinging for 140. You're at absolutely bonkers numbers. That's just off a single one. We are going to see the Tapu Lele into the Bridget. Frank's actually going to be able to set up his bench this game.
Looks like it. Going to grab a couple of Zoruas here along with a Trubbish. We'll see what Frank wants to do on this turn. Maybe he has that Rainbow. I just want to see that Jet Punch come out, honestly, but we'll see if that's an option for him.
You really want to see Mew jet punching, don't you?
Absolutely. I love seeing Mew copy interesting attacks that you wouldn't normally think it could use, and that's what makes the card so versatile.
Well, we're not going to see any attacks off the Mew this time. Also, versatile. You got me with that one. He's just leaving up a big Tapu Lele at the end of the turn. Frank, not even a sniff of an energy so far.
No, been very slow over on Frank Diaz's side, and this is exactly what you want to see if you're Azul Garcia Griego. Actually going to just get the Remoraid onto the bench, not using that Red Rock that he talked to me about before the game. Maybe it is prized a second time. Maybe he just doesn't think it would be good for him right now. Going to get a second Buzzwole GX down. Floatstone to the active, Choice Band to the Mew, and going to see a full Abyssal Hand for 5 new cards. Still has not played a supporter the past couple of turns, so going to want to try to find a supporter card here.
We're going to see the double Abyssal Hand turns? Is that what we're getting at the end of this game?
At the end of this game, potentially. Not this coming turn, though. Unfortunately, the Remoraid did just come down into play. Can't evolve yet, but we know how important that Abyssal Hand is for these Buzzwole decks, getting those extra draws. Lycanroc GX Bloodthirsty Eyes will bring up the Mew EX. Does Azul have the basic fighting energy in his hand to get this Jet Punch KO and spread 30 damage somewhere on the bench to help him set up numbers later on? Sycamore can potentially find it for him. He has 11 basic fightings in his list, 1 in play already. Let's see if off of these 7, does he get there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I couldn't quite tell. I saw something brown.
There
Looks like
I
he
think
does
it's on
have
the front.
it.
Yeah.
So he will get that Jet Punch KO should he want it. We'll see what his choice is going to be. Looks like that is Azul Garcia Griego's option. Going to take a 2-prize knockout on this Mew EX and set up some numbers later on maybe something on the bench. We'll see where this 30 damage goes.
Yep. Azul just deciding. Putting it down on the Tapu Lele. I kind of like that, actually.
It can make it easier for Lycanroc to maybe knock it out with a
the
Claw
Choice Band.
Slash or something like that later on, meaning it doesn't need a choice, or it doesn't need the strong energy to get the knockout potentially.
Just
so,
a Choice Band will do it with the
or
Claw
Red
Slash.
Rock in play. Like it can just help some numbers as well. So we'll see. Frank start does send up the Tapu Lele, sends it up begrudgingly. Maybe doesn't have that much to work with in his hand, but Zoroark GX is a good way to try to find new cards. 2 Zoroark GX, in fact.
Both of them ready to go. Oh, and the Garbotoxin plays the N before any of those trades. So Azul coming down to 4 cards, particularly after he just pulled the full Sycamore and then 2 prizes. So Frank able to kind of level the playing field a little bit here with the way that it's coming out.
Yes, if I am Frank Diaz, I'm going to be wanting to find a double colorless energy here. We're going to see 10 cards this turn on Frank's side of the field, 6 from the end, and then he does still have access to 2 trade abilities. If he can find a double colorless energy, he can use Energy Drive, take a knockout on this Mew. Azul doesn't have anything that can respond to this Tapu Lele by taking a knockout immediately, and Frank could also potentially find a tool card and get that Garbotoxin ability lock in play. Second Field Blower hits the discard file for Frank as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably not worried about his own Garbotoxin, to be honest. He'll put it up if he needs it, I guess. But not being able to get rid of Azul's tools, kind of annoying, I'd imagine, and his stadium as well, because that's how you really build the damage on Trash Lounge. Odysseus Trubbish come into play, won't be able to evolve this turn.
Yeah, I'm sure Frank will remember it this time. Absolutely. We'll see the second trade come out, discarding 1 more card, drawing 2 more off the top. Does he find that DCE? He needs to use Energy Drive to take the KO. Discards a Choice Band with it. 1 more of those resources going down. I think Frank does play a heavier Choice Band count than a lot of these Zoroark decks have in the past. Debating attaching to the Lele, it is that DCE. Energy Drive will deal 60 damage to this poor little Mew that only has 50 HP. Field Blower, once again, is that 3 Field Blowers in Frank's list? So he does get rid of that stadium, does get rid of the Floatstone, and he'll put 1 more item in the discard pile by knocking out the Mew with the Choice Bands.
Yep, he'll get there in the end. He is going to grab another supporter with a Tapu Lele. This is where Frank's deck gets real thin real quick.
And I think by Frank playing this Lele this turn, that tells me he's going to put a tool on that Garbotoxin Garbodor, going to want to ability lock Azul, try to turn off that Abyssal Hand, and really try to slow down what Azul is able to do. Find the N for the next turn.
Doing the combination of the N and the ability lock is really good here. We talk about how Octillery is basically an insurance policy against being caught with a terrible N. If you're not able to activate it, then you're in trouble. The Floatstone is now on the Garbotoxin Garbodor. No more abilities for the rest of this game. No more trades for Frank, but no more Abyssal Hands for Azul either.
Azul sends up that Lycanroc GX, of course, Bloodthirsty Eyes, Dangerous Rogue GX will easily be able to take a knockout on this Tapu Lele. All Azul needs is 1 more energy card, and if he can do that, Lycanroc GX is very difficult for Frank to deal with in this coming turns.
Yep, it's going to be the attachment there. So Lycanroc pretty much ready to go. The float stone on Octillery just in case it gets caught.
Here it goes, Dangerous Rogue GX. Azul getting ready to flip over that GX marker. Does come out. Azul goes down to just 2 prizes to Frank's 5. And this is looking really good for Azul. Frank, I don't really know what he can do to this. Trash Avalanche won't be able to take a knockout. And if Azul has an energy plus a Guzma, Claw Slash will be able to knock out the Fighting Weak Zoroark GX over on Frank's bench to take the game.
We've not seen any Guzmas from Azul yet. I think that's probably a count that Frank is making by peeping in Azul's discard right now. Bringing up, obviously, something like the Garbodo. If you can get it in front of one of those buzz walls, you could try and start leveling up the prizes a little better. I mean, I can see a Dramper, so one of the additions Frank made to his list over those bursting balloons.
Yep, normally Drampa wouldn't be super useful in this matchup. Azul does only play the 3 special energies. Frank just doesn't want to draw it here off of this end. It also, worth noting, is weak to fighting, but that doesn't matter as much at this point since Zoroark GX itself is also weak to fighting. But Drampa actually can easily be knocked out by a Jet Punch from Buzzwole GX. If you have the Choice Band Strong Energy Regirock combo, which we see these Buzzwole decks pull off all the time, that does do 180 damage to the Fighting Weak Drampa GX. So Frank,
only a 4-card combo. Yeah.
Frank not wanting to get that down early on in the game, but seeing that he needs to just draw better cards here is going to just go ahead and get it down on the bench. We'll see what he can draw. Does look like he has the 5 prizes left. Almost took that extra card, but no, does have the 5. We are good to go. I do believe, did he attach that double colorless this turn?
He did. The Lele went down this from the last turn, and it was given the float stone and the double colorless on this turn. So nothing.
Did draw a rainbow energy, but unfortunately can't use that Trash Avalanche attack. Gonna have to bring up Tapu Lele, use Energy Drive. Azul has a few different cards that could win him the game here.
Ooh,
if
the second
single puzzle comes out from Frank Diaz. Azul won't be able to take the knockout on this Lele with Claw Slash, unfortunately, since he does have abilities turned off. If he had his abilities, he could get the Strong Energy Choice Band Regirock combo. That would let Claw Slash hit for 170 damage. But, of course, Regipower is shut off by Garbotoxin.
Yeah, not only that as well, he's also probably going to struggle to find a Strong Energy, purely because 2 of them are already gone.
So Azul going to go ahead and play the Max Elixir. Does look like he hits. This, normally I think if Azul was trying to do something to hit the energy on the active this turn, to get that Guzma Claw Slash knockout play, he wouldn't have attached this, so I think he might be having to go with another supporter option. May not have that Guzma in his hand.
Yep, he is going to attach, and Sycamore, so Sycamore with nothing in there. He's just grabbed a full, fresh 7.
And it's interesting to me that Azul chose to attach to the active. He could have tried to find a second Elixir and a Choice Band and have attached to the Buzzwole. Could have gone for that Knuckle Impact for 190 to take his last 2 prizes. Maybe Azul saying that wasn't super likely, and I'm not going to go for that play. I'm going to just Claw Slash here and try to set up the win on the following turn.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Basically put Frank on a 1-turn timer. Based on the fact he pulled off the Sycamore, you got to hope he's got the Guzma in there as well. Frank definitely up against it in this game with time ticking down.
Absolutely. If this game does not go in Frank's favor, it will be unlikely that these players have enough time for a full Game 3. Looks like Frank is debating that Rainbow Energy onto that Trash Avalanche Garbodor. I'm not sure how many items Azul has played, but there is a good chance that at this point that will be enough for Trash Avalanche to do the remaining quick maths, 120 damage it needs to do to take the knockout. 6 items would do it. Let's see if that is the case. Looks like he'll send up the Trash Avalanche Garbodor.
I mean, there's we know there's a Max Elixir in there. We've seen
Field Blower, at least
Blower,
one. Yeah.
some tools.
Azul has had to play his own item cards. Looks like we're going to see a Parallel City
on himself.
Discarding that Tapu Lele with all of that damage on it, and also gets rid of that Garbotoxin, so he has access to these trades again, but this also does turn back on Abyssal Hand for Azul.
Yeah, that's a naughty play. He knows he needs a couple more cards, so he does need to get back his access to trade. Smart way to do it. Parallel City yourself, and then you'll be able to start trading again. I really, really like that play from Frank. If he can, start taking knockouts here, probably in a good position. I think giving back Abyssal Hand isn't the worst thing, especially when we saw the 7 cards of Sycamore for Azul. He's got a lot of resources in there anyway. There's a chance he may not even be able to get his hand down to Abyssal Hand.
Lots of basic energies here in Azul's discard pile. If he can find an Elixir plus an attachment and a Guzma, he could take a knockout on a Zoroark GX. But we have to see if he's going to be able to do that. This was a game that Azul was in such a commanding position, and he does get to play that Tapu Lele now because of that Garbotoxin Garbodor being removed from the field.
Yeah, I mean, that's really helping for him.
I only see a couple of basic energies in his deck, so those elixirs may not be super likely. He has a lot of them in his hand. Unfortunate that he drew them off of that Sycamore. Maybe he has a Cynthia or an N or something like that in his hand. Look at how many energies are in his hand. I think there are 4 basic fightings there.
3 or 4. I mean, he's going to have to shuffle draw at some point. Looks like he's making the decision to go for the
debating it. This
back
is
and forth.
This
he's
is a tough
take the
call.
Sycamore. That's a big choice for him there.
Ooh, actually going to choose to discard it. Maybe going to try to draw some cards with Abyssal Hand. Double Abyssal Hand coming out. 2 Octilleries in play. Does get... Oh, has the in hand.
He already had one in hand.
I just wanted to thin that Sycamore out of the deck, I think.
Yeah, I think deciding what to get rid of with the Ultra Ball, very, very smart. He's going to end himself to 2, and he's going to be able to Abyssal Hand immediately for 5. If he can play any of those resources, Abyssal Hand again, bring himself back up.
You know, I wonder if an argument could have been made for Azul to use one of those Abyssal Hands before playing the in. Off of these 2 cards he's going to get, he'll get to Abyssal Hand once, but there might not be a chance for him to Abyssal Hand once again if he doesn't have any cards he can play from that Abyssal Hand.
I think he just wanted to make sure that if he hits the first Abyssal Hand, then at least there's a chance of him pulling the Max Elixir, and then at least having energy in there. There was so many energy in the hand.
Gonna put the Choice Band
down
onto Buzzwole. First Abyssal Hand comes out. We do see some fighting energies as well as an Elixir. Does he hit this Elixir? This is gonna be big for Azul.
6, there's
6
the
cards.
Gentle count.
He does hit.
Oh, perfect.
The thing that is worth noting, though, that at this point in the game, there are many, many items played. It will be very easy for Trash Lunch to take a knockout, so Azul is going to have to deal with this active Garbodor. Does get the energy attachment from hand, gets the second Abyssal Hand off, and is going to draw 2 more cards. Finds the Choice Band as well, and he'll be able to use a Knuckle Impact to take the knockout. And Frank has 3 Pokemon on his field that are weak to fighting.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 3 Pokemon. All of them are going to get knocked out. Yeah, he can't Knuckle Impact next turn, but Frank's lost his Psychic-type attacker, which is huge here. That was his answer to this big Buzzwole that Azul's managed to put together over the past couple of turns.
Trade number 1.
It's gonna be a push, I think, to get through it.
Azul will need the Guzma on the next turn to get the win if he wants it coming up.
Well, we did see when he was in there with the Tapu Lele, he did have Guzmas in the deck, and it looks like there's just 1 in there. 1 card.
Oh, Frank is going to go ahead and concede this game. Wants to make sure that he has as much time as possible for a potential game 3. And now we're going to move on to that 3rd game. And this is it, guys. Table number 1 moving to game 3 here in the Toronto TCG Regional Championships.
Yep, beginning of day 2, we've got an absolute barn burner going all the way. Currently 42 and a lot, 43 minutes played for these players. So good back and forth. Both players really having a game where they just kept in the driving seat throughout is what I've noticed. You know, game 1, Frank was consistently in the lead. Game 2, Azul was consistently in the lead. Game 3 is going to be a short one. I think we're going to see some turbo play here.
Absolutely.
No accusations of slow play in this one.
No, not at all. These players will be making sure to play at a very brisk pace if they want to try to finish this. These are very well experienced players. They are well aware of tournament regulations, and they know, they have that kind of internal clock of, hey, there's this much time left. I feel like I need to make sure I'm speeding up my play.
Yeah, let's see some turbo play from these boys. Frank, let's go.
So let's see what happens here. I think that generally this matchup is extremely close, but when it comes down to the potential to win in a very few amount of turns, Buzzwole is certainly favored, just so much more aggressive than this Zoroark Garbodor deck. So we'll see if Azul is able to use his aggression to his advantage, but Frank does get things started very good with a turn 1 Bridget.
Yep, turn 1 Bridget's going to make sure he's not getting easily knocked out by jet punches. We do see Azul's side got the strong energy in there, so he can start hitting for 50 with those jet punches. Maybe he'll locate the Regirock this time.
I think if Azul has a Guzma in his hand, he will almost certainly just attach Guzma, a Zorua, and take a quick one prize knockout, setting up another knockout. That'll almost certainly be what he does, and we'll see what Frank does get here with this Bridget.
I think he does have a Guzma in hand.
Looks like it. And Frank chooses to only get one Zorua. Maybe he has some prize. Maybe he has some in his hand. We will have to see after he gets his hand back.
I think in the long term of this game, it's not going to be a long game. So he knows that the Zorua is not going to be able to sit around and trade for too long. So one will be just fine. If he can get it, that'll be great. But he probably needs to get his psychic type attackers out. He has the other in hand.
So not as bad as I originally had thought. But this will be huge. Azul will be able to take out the Zoruas. While this game may not last that long, it is still very important. Oh, this is actually a huge threat from Frank. Frank puts the DCE on Trubbish. If Azul just Guzmas knocks out a Zorua, what Frank can do is he can attach a Psychic or Rainbow Energy, evolve it, and get a Choice Band, use Acid Spray, which would do 200 damage to this Buzzwole and take the knockout.
The N, so no Guzma this turn.
Azul has to play the N, has to find more Pokemon, because if Frank if Azul goes for that play, sure, he gets that Guzma knockout on a Zorua, but he can easily go down to that Acid Spray from Garbodor. So Azul has to try to find another Pokemon because that is a huge threat on Frank's side of the field.
Yeah, well, no other way to get a basic in the hand. No Brooklet Hills, no nothing really at this point. So forcing the N, I think, is probably pretty okay if you're Azul here, particularly because Frank seemed pretty confident in that play. Maybe having the answer to make that big play with the Acid Spray, as you mentioned, in turn 2 for him.
So we'll see the new hand of 6 for both of these players. I do see at least one Max Elixir. Looks like an Ultra Ball. He will be able to find another Pokemon, a Brooklet Hill as well. So he'll be able to get another fighting Pokemon in play. I want to see that Regirock EX come out, man.
You're just desperate for a Regirock.
Here it is, moves it to the front. We might see a Bedrock press this game. 100 damage base for 3 fighting energies with strong energy. That's 120, which knocks out a Garbodor. Looks like it is hitting the field. We'll see if Azul does play a Max Elixir onto it or not this turn. And we'll see if he starts trying to set that Bedrock press up.
Yeah, I mean, that could be one way, but really doesn't have much time. Not too many turns available for Max Elixiring and powering it up the old-fashioned way. He is going to go for one now and hit it.
He does hit it, yes. And while these players do not have that much time, he does have to make sure that he still needs to play his game, right? He still needs to make sure he's getting elixirs in play, getting those energies, because he needs to power up his attackers. 2 Max Elixirs as well. Let's see if he hits the second one. 6 energies here. Does he? Yep. 6 cards here. He does find the energy he needs. And now Regirock is 1 turn away from being able to start attacking and knock out things like like Trash Lanch Garbodor.
Yep, well, the damage being spread onto the Trebishes, so even if they become Garbodors, they're going to get readily knocked out here. Of course, there is still the option for Frank to very quickly swing it with the Psychic Energy and the Trash Lanch Garbodor, or the Acid Spray, in this instance, Garbodor, and a Choice Band. But after the end, he may not have all those resources he was craving.
We'll have to see what he can pull off. It is certainly a lot of cards, but it is a combo that is very doable, especially when your deck plays Zoroark GX. But this energy attachment to Zorua tells me Frank is not going to be going for that turn 2 Acid Spray.
No, he's not going to be able to because, simply put, doesn't have all the pieces. He did have a Tapu Lele in hand, but decided at this tight juncture in the game not to make a risky play, not to go for it, try and set up a Zoroark for a little bit later. He does grab a Sycamore off that.
Looks like he's just going to want to ditch his hand, draw a fresh one of 7. It is interesting to me to see the attachment to the Zorua actually going to opt to attack with Zoroark potentially this turn. And that, of course, is weak to fighting, and Regirock is easily able to take the knockout if Azul is able to find a Strong Energy or a Choice Band. Of course, Regirock's Regi Power ability does not boost its own damage. It boosts all fighting type Pokemon except for Regirock EX. So he does need a Strong Energy or Choice Band in order to hit that 210 HP minimum that Zoroark GX has. We'll see what Frank finds here with this Ultra Ball. You got to think it may be a Zoroark GX to start getting these trades off.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the fact he's powered it up as well, a pretty good inclination that it's time to start using that. He may be able to only hit once with it, but I think hitting for 120 makes those numbers a little bit easier down the line, less reliant on finding Choice Bands. So probably going to be evolving the one with the energy. I mean, 99% evolving the one with the energy.
I would imagine so at this point.
But a trade would be nice. A trade would be nice for him.
I think that will be what Frank decides to attack with this turn. I would have loved to have seen Frank attack with Tapu Lele potentially this turn. It does find a choice band, gets it discarded with the trade. Tapu Lele would not have been a bad option in my opinion.
No, not at all, because it's a kind of, in a juncture like this, it's one of those big Pokemon that takes a lot of investment to knock out, and if he does bring the Regirock up, he'd be able to start punishing it. We've already got 2 double colorless in place, so I think it's kind of unlikely that we're going to see the attacks from Tapu Lele.
Riot is beating here, dealing 120 damage. There is a basic fighting energy from Azul. We'll see if he tries to dig for the strong energy. Also does need a float stone to move this active active Buzzwole GX. Looks like he's going to play an Ultra Ball, look through his deck, see what Pokemon he wants to get. Looking like he will eye up the Rockruff. Lycanroc GX, of course, still good. And there's only a few seconds left of this game.
Yeah, there's a few seconds of actual gameplay left. We're just going to make sure we get an exact confirmation on when time is being called. Just our timer a little bit off from the
game
real
timer.
Game timer.
Now time has been called. Azul will be turn 0. Frank will be at turn 2. And both of these players with 6 prizes left. I don't know that we'll be able to complete this game.
Yeah, I mean, 6 prizes apiece.
I don't think it's actually possible.
Not...
Maybe with Buzzwole GX.
Ooh,
no,
that's
I don't.
an ask.
Yeah, I don't think it could
You're
happen.
needing the Buzzwole to basically take 2 prizes a turn.
Does find the energy and the choice band he needs to get that Bedrock Press knockout. Hey, I'm at least satisfied here. I saw Regirock EX attack, and we're going to see a Bedrock Press take 2 prizes.
So what we need is a Buzzwole GX 4 prize turn. So...
And looks like these
the
players
shake is that.
are realizing, unfortunately, this will end in a tie. And, don't want to see that the first round of the day. But these players both